Hey all, so this is War 9. We are rematching against Legion, who we also faced in War 2. It was actually a very similar map in our battle group. I imagine that may happen more often going forward with persistent placement, especially when we don't know who we're facing, but it was kind of curious how that happened. We had some issues with this map last time we faced them, but I think they were mostly play issues, and so we did end up just sending almost exactly the same fights with a couple small changes to fit their changes, and it went pretty well. But first off, you'll see me against this Kingpin here with Namor. I think this is a very good fight, but I have seen it go wrong. You really do want House of X if you can swing it, because sure, if Kingpin is playing nice, then he's going to bait heavies and you heavy counter them. The same way that I just countered his special one right there. It should be possible at all times, and so you shouldn't need the House of X. But if he purifies something and then sits on the prowess for a long time and then goes to the special 2 and you're not ready for the dex while it's unblockable or something like that, that's where deaths on this node come from. And so that's why I had House of X to just be that much more on top of having an armor up at all times. We controlled the prowess really well. And then once you get Namor going, he just deletes things. The damage payout is really, really good as long as you can survive the early fight. Moving on to this Dragon Man here, this is just going to be very, very simple Titania. We could throw heavies, we could throw specials, and she'd probably be fine dealing with the degen, but there's just no reason not to combo the opponent down. We are going to block this right here because it removes the power charge, and we don't want to get hit with a special 3. But there's just very, very little risk to this. We block this one again. Try not to block too many hits of it, but it is just giving us willpower healing, right? So Titania is perfect for this. Ineptitude does mess with Fury buffs. It's like reverse aptitude, right? But it doesn't mess with her Fury passives, so there's not really much of a risk there. We go ahead and, this time Dragon Man does get to the special 2, but throwing it removes the power charge as well. Not entirely sure what I did there, but it clearly wasn't correct. So yeah, it did take a little bit of damage, and I'm not going to full heal it back from the ineptitude, unfortunately. I suppose I could have tried to play things a little bit differently and let willpower run its course, but when I just made a mistake like that, in my opinion, better to close out the fight and use a potion. And so that's what we did. Moving on past this, my next fight is Ebony Maw on 23. This is the first time I've taken this, but my fellow officer, Na, has taken it way too many times. It has been a meta placement for a while now, and he's definitely sick of it. So that's part of the reason that I'm taking it here, is I figured it was time for me to get some reps in, so it's just not always on him, right? Now, the risks to this node are, of course, what just happened right there. That's not the last time I get rooted, if you enjoy that. And, of course, being at the wrong count in Bubble Shield and trying to block Maw's Special 2 and having part of it be unblockable, you not be ready for the dex, and then the degen's just deleting you. That is the threat. See, right here we dex the first part. You'll see me block the middle hit and dex the second, or the dex the third. I have done the full dex of Maw's Special 2 before, but it is not something I go for in war if I can avoid it. So here we have the falter on us, then we get the root again. What I always say about this node, especially against Maw, is you just have to be comfortable dexing the heavy up close. You saw me do it in the previous route, where he throws the heavy and we just get out of the way. As long as you're comfortable with that, there's kind of an upper limit on how dangerous this fight is. You've seen we're healing from the falter. We were just getting to our special 3 and getting into a good spot, right? That's what we're aiming for. Now Power Focus 2 is helping us. He's not going to get to his special 3, and we close it out. And even if this were a smaller Titania, even if that had not finished him off, because of Power Focus 2, it was safe to keep hitting him, because then we could have just dealt with another special 2 because we'd been managing Bubble Shield. Those are the things to keep in mind there. Now, this fight, I do not play well, because I knew that my bleeds were going to trigger her Huntress charges, right? And so I was like, all right, at some point she's going unblockable. And I know that when she goes into the hunt, she turns off Dex, which is a problem that I normally solve by bringing someone with prowess. And it's right about here that I realize, oh dear, she's unblockable and she's turned off Dex. And I just did not handle it well, as you can see. Trying to get some back from Adrenaline there, it's clearly saving my butt. An Ascended 5-star, even in the future if there's a double Ascended 5-star, would not have survived there, because clearly Adrenaline is what keeps me alive here, but I do manage to salvage it. Still clearly a solid fight, you just have to pay more attention to it. I should have made sure to push her over 2 bars at the beginning there. I could have been more intentional about it, and then I could have not panicked, and I would have been in nowhere near the same amount of danger. So, still a decent fight, but I was not prepared for it. Hopefully, if you take it, you will be after seeing that. And we move on to Kate. This one's going to be real simple. Heavy counters. Kate's riposte mechanic is definitely annoying, but part of the reason I put it on her is because there's just not a whole lot else that's threatening about her. This node does not give her any extra prowess. We're not going to try and parry stun her. That was clearly dangerous, because if she can dex, then she can parry, and so we got a little bit lucky there. But there's just nothing else going on here. As long as we keep knocking her down, as long as we keep our armors, we don't have to worry about crits. She has no purify other than the riposte mechanic, so as long as we don't try and parry stun her, we're completely okay. The one other thing we do need to watch for is if we go into Imperious Rex, then the special 2 specifically will stun. We need to make sure that we don't try and then follow up a normal combo, follow up the special 2 with a normal combo. But honestly, we're not going to get there, because we're just baiting out her arrows. You can block the special 1 all day long. There's no danger to it. We're heavy countering, we're getting our armor up, and we're just going to close this out nice and easy before having to worry about any of that. Here we go red, we throw the special 3. I think this might kill. I always forget exactly what the damage distribution of Namor's special 3 is. Not quite, but we are ready for her special. That is always the most dangerous thing coming out of Namor's special 3, is the opponent loves to throw their special, and if you're not ready for it, that's how you can lose the fight. But then we just needed to tap after that, and we were good to go. So last fight this war for me is this Spidey Supreme on 47. Basically, the only threat to this fight is that we can't parry heavy. And so that's going to slow down some of the options, right? Because if you can't parry, then you need to make sure that you have a true miscounter or a buff immune. But as long as you have one of those, Make a Stand isn't actually doing that much, right? Because the primary threat on this fight, the reason why Make a Stand +1 eye open is a valid defensive combination a lot of the times, is that you have to land a heavy without stunning the opponent so that the protection is down for your specials, right? But for Spidey Supreme, he's kind of made of paper. He doesn't really have much of a health pool, and so there I get the heavy off of my haymakers, but I don't need it. Like, just spamming special 1 with Titania here is going to give you so many Furies that this just isn't much of a fight. And so I actually would recommend against placing him here because I think it is too easy for the various buff immunes to just roll right through him. You're seeing me do it very quickly here, but I could have just taken this fight in another minute doing nothing but spamming special ones. I don't normally comment on defensive placement, because, like, it is all about forcing counters and splitting paths and that kind of thing, but on a shared fight like that, I felt like I should mention it. But that was my war. I believe I am behind on war videos, but I'm pretty sure this is the one where we did get a donut, or what I'm counting as a donut, right? We technically got 164 attack bonuses instead of 165, but that's because we had a recorded, documented disconnect right at the end. I'm not holding that against anybody. After the last few wars where BG3 in particular did not do great, as I've said, turning that around and doing what I've known we're capable of was really, really refreshing. So, huge props to the battle group and to the Alliance overall. It's nice to be going into the last week in a really good position on wins-losses. Hopefully we can continue to win into that last week and land in top 10 again. Our goal is Masters. We've always said that, and we mean it, right? Like, we are not sad if we make top 20 and not top 10, but making top 10 is always fun. And it would be a significant accomplishment this season given the rather hairy schedule we've had, in my opinion. So here's hoping. Until the next one, hope y'all enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and take care.